Hey everybody, welcome back to Movies and TV Shows on the Ball, and it is Saturday morning. And it being Saturday morning, I decided to take a step down Saturday morning cartoon lane and talk about Saturday morning cartoons from the 80s and 90s. Now, I am a 90s child, so I grew up with Fox Kids, Kids WB, and those types of television shows. So I just wanted to take a time to talk about TV cartoons that kind of hit me in the right mindset. So today we're going to be looking at it on either Netflix or cable. So give me a second, we'll find something and we'll start watching. Here we go. It on either Netflix or cable. So give me a second, we'll find something. So with the new Transformers 6 film coming out, Transformers Rise of the Beast, I'm going to give this opportunity to take a look at, as you know, as I am, as Jay and I have said before, that we are both 90s kids. We grew up on Power Rangers, and we grew up on is kind of look at, I think I couldn't really find on Amazon. I found on Amazon Prime the first Transformers television series, the first Transformers pilot. I think I could find that on YouTube, and I'm going to look at that. Basically, look at sort of how how the first show episode works in kind of conjunction, because since tonight is Saturday morning, or Saturday afternoon as of this recording, we could probably look at just how how the first Transformers episode goes. So here we go. So Transformers, the series, actually started, according to IMDb. Transformers, the series started, I think, 1984. It's actually had 98 episodes, and it was, it sort of kind of was this 1980s. I mean, it was a way to sell toys. Originally, I think I'm going to kind of give you just a real quick look at what they originally, Transformers originally came from. I think according to the toys that made us, began in 1980 as a Japanese toy line by Microchange and Diaclone. They presented robots able to transform in everyday vehicles. But I think Everyday Vehicles has robot Microchange and Diaclone Toys and partnered with Takiti. So according to Wikipedia, Transformers pretty much is a franchise. It actually, as of 2011, it generates more than $25 billion in revenue, making it one of the highest-grossing media franchises of all time. The franchise began in 1984 with the Transformers toy line, comparing transforming Mecha Toys to Takara's Diaclone and Microchange, compressing Transformers, Mecha Toys, and Takara Diaclone Microchange toy lines. Rebranded in the Western market, the term Generation 1 covers both the animated television series, The Transformers, which we will cover in this episode, and the comic book series of the same name, which are further divided into Japanese, British, and Canadian spin-offs, respectively. Sequels followed, such as the Generation 2 comic books and the Beast Wars TV show, which the new Transformers 7 episode 7 movie will focus on the Beast Wars section. Generation 1 characters underwent 2 reboots with DreamWorks production in 2001 and IDW publishing in 2005. Or Dreamwave production, with a third starting in 2019. There have been other incarnations of the story based on different toy lines during and after the 20th century. The first was Robots in Disguise series, followed by 3 shows, Arvidon, Enron, and Cybertron, that constitutes a single universe called the Unicron trilogy. And then we'll get into this next. I'm just going to do pretty much the first episode of Transformers, if I can find it on YouTube. And then I'm going to kind of talk about the Transformers movie that came out in the 1980s, and then Transformers, the 2007 film, which I actually saw with a friend who was a huge Transformers fan. Anyway, was established in 2018. Transformers Cyberverse debuted once again, distinct from the previous incarnations, although intentionally a separated and comparing franchise started in 1983. Tokyo Bogots became intellectual property as Hasbro. And so it became kind of a thing. So Transformers Generation 1 ran from 1984 to 1993. Generation 1 is a retrospective term for Transformers characters that appeared in 84 to 93. The Transformers began with the 1980s Japanese toy line, as I said. So Transformers Generation 1, so that's the toy line, but I'm going to the premise. Let's get in the premise of Generation 1. The Transformers plot has 2 factions of sentient alien robots, the heroic Autobots and the villainous Desepticons. Both sides are from a race called Transformers, robots that can change into vehicles, mechanical devices, and even animal forms. Later in Beast Wars, they have waged civil war for eons on their home planet of High Cybertron, a war that has started for several million years BC before humans even existed on Earth. Their planet of Cybertron had become disseminated, and both factions have been reduced to scavenging for needed suppliers, primary energy. The Autobots leave their planet on a spaceship, and the Decepticons follow them to their own vessel, where the Decepticons board the Autobot ship. A battle breaks out, and with nobody controlling the ship, it crashes onto a prehistoric Earth and is knocked to transforms unconscious. Millions of years later, in 1984, or 2007, depending on the Transformers averse, but we're just going to stick with the from the Transformers movies, but we're going to stick with the Transformers averse. The dormant volcano the Autobot ship had crashed on becomes active. The eruption resets the ship's computer, which deploys a probe to study the planet. The computer learns that the planet is habited in order to survive first contact. The computer both repairs and disables Transformers and reconfigures them with physical forms based on vehicles and machines of human origins. The Transformers are now able to hide by changing into vehicles or devices in case humans turn into be hostile. The initial premise of all 3 media of toys, TV series, and comics became more cosmetic in a scale. More stories began to be set in other space and alien worlds, especially after Transformers the movie. Transformers the movie came out in 1986 and was an animated fiction film based on the Transformers series. So it came out in 86. Transformers, the television series lasted from 84 to 87. So it's kind of right when the show was about to end. let's see. So I'm going to kind of start with the first episode and what after. So the other thing that happened was in 1984, U.S. regulators had removed many of the restrictions regarding the placement of promotional content within children's television programming. This way was cleared for the new products based on television programs Hasbro had previously worked with in Marvel Comics to develop G.I. Joe, A Real American Hero, which had 3 films, including the G.I. Joe movie that was animated. For a 3-pronged marketing scheme, the toy line, a tie-in comic book by Marvel, and an animated miniseries co-produced by Marvel, Media Arms, Marvel Productions, and the Griffin Pascal advertising agency, Sunbow Productions. Productions House gives the success of the statement and Marvel thing. So that was sort of the initial plot. Let's go into the pilot episode. Okay. So the pilot, excuse me. Hey, everybody. So the pilot starts with this. It pretty much opens up with it kind of basically the first part, because I found out the pilot was a 2-parter. My guess, the pilot was started out as probably showed up at 9 in the, or probably came on Saturday mornings at 9 a.m. and then this part 2 probably came out at 9:30 a.m. So the pilot sort of started out with we kind of get the backstory of Cybertron and kind of where they live, and we basically see that there are sort of 2 sides to the Cybertron on the planet Cybertron. You've got the Decepticons took over. Decepticons took over, and sort of there's kind of a war between the Decepticons, who are the bad guys, and the Autobots, who are the good guys. Nowadays, looking at it, you pretty much can kind of see that it was sort of already done. Already you kind of can see the basis of kind of the show. So it pretty much, we go kind of straight into the action. This is a pilot episode. It probably, it lasted, just because it didn't it lasts about 22 minutes without commercials, maybe a little bit, maybe 23 minutes with the first pilot. But we kind of see they shoot at so they start bam with the action. We see these Autobots. Wheeljack is taking some energy pulls to another guy called Indon, to a place called Indon, but the Decepticons block their escape. Once they start shooting at the Autobots, and Bumblebee fires them. Bumblebee and another Transformer make their escape, while Bumblebee gets in the other Transformers, kind of starts to make their escape. So Wheeljack energy pulls, but Decepticons block their escape. They do a shootout, so we get the action right. First and foremost, the Autobots and Bumblebee fires them. Bumblebee and another Transformer, I guess that's Wheeljack, makes their escape, while Bumblebee gets in. Transformer escape. They go underground. Jazz comes, who was in the animated film, or in the what's his name? Michael Bay's film. Then the Autobots jazz, and they meet up with the Autobots to start a search mission for a new planet. Starscream and Megatron have a rivalry, which we kind of see, and I'm kind of going to compare this because I saw pretty much the Decepticon or the Transformers 2007 film as, Starscream and Megatron. In that film, Starscream was more of Megatron's lackey than anything. Let's see what time. More of a lackey. Starscream is. Okay, so Decepticons use a tractor. So we kind of see Starscream and Megatron have a rivalry. The Autobots leave Cybertron with the Decepticons behind them. They both get caught in a meteor shower, which I think was kind of interesting. And you kind of can see how the meteor shower takes effect. And Optimus finds they are being followed by Decepticons, and it kind of reminds me a little bit like that level in Star Fox, where you can kind of see how in I think it was the second level on N64 Star Fox where they get through a meteor shower. So, and then Optimus finds they're being followed. Decepticons use a tractor beam and come near their ship, and they fight each other. And then that sort of takes place in sort of the past, and then 4 million years later, the 80s, or present day at the time, they repair themselves and wake up as Decepticons. They are hoping to return to Cybertron and build their new sort of kingdom, or their new utopia, if you will. The Decepticons lock them, but the Decepticons and then on the other side is the Autobots wake up, and when the Autobots wake up, they're kind of like on another side of the. They're on another side of the. They're on this other side, and they've kind of meet each other, and the Decepticons lock in them with lock them into a trap with rocks into their ship. Optimus Prime ends up transforming into a truck. So we understand that they kind of, and I'm going to kind of go with the Bay film. In the Bay film, when they all showed up, they kind of found their, what am I talking about? They found their, in the Bay film, they kind of find the cars that they're going to transform into while they're there. Here, they just pretty much show up as Optimus Prime as a big truck, Bumblebee as a bug, and we see Starscream as a jet. I think return to build a new. Okay, so Optimus Prime transforms into a truck. The Decepticons go and destroy a dam. Optimus Prime and his team look for Decepticons. Starscream wants to take, and then we kind of get the idea that Starscream and Optimus Prime, they kind of have a rivalry, which is something, and I probably just mentioned this before, is something that in the film Starscream's more of a lackey to Megatron, but in this one there's more of I want to lead the Decepticons. He's needing me to lead the Decepticons. Okay, so making a base case, and then Hounder, the Decepticon, and then making a base. They meet another a Decepticon. I think they are leadership from Megatron. Cliff Jumper, and Hound find the Decepticons. So Cliffhanger and Hound are Autobots. Find the Decepticons making a base. The voices of Casey Kasem, who voiced Shaggy and Scooby-Doo, and is the voice of Cliff Jumper. They use a satellite and overhear Megatron's plans. Cliff Jumper uses a bazooka and fires it on the Decepticons. This alerts the Decepticons to use Laserbeak, which was used in Transformers 2, Revenge of the Fallen. Let's see. The alerts this, and they chase the Autobots, and the Autobots end up splitting up, being chased by two Decepticons during the commercial break. After these messages start, it's the Autobots where they come back. It's the Decepticons. So we kind of see, like, what I mean by that is during the commercial break, what am I trying to say? The Decepticon or the Autobots logo is sort of the shows up that says, "We'll be back after these messages," and then it'll say, "Welcome back. We're now back to the show with the Decepticons or Autobots," or vice versa. I'm not sure if it goes through the same way as the show. Let's see. Two of the Autobots rescue the Jeep, and when they talk as cars, and it's interesting too is that in the movie they didn't really talk as cars, but in the show they actually talk in their car transformation. And the way they do it is they're kind of red light blinks for communication. Han can't, but one can't transform from a jet. Han can't transform from a jet to a robot. Megatron can't believe the Autobots survived. Thundercrack looks for the Supercon. One of the Decepticons turns into a Robo-Wolf, which we see in Revenge of the Fallen, and chase a van. After commercial break again, the Autobots arise at the crashed Autobots and survived. Reflected, and Decepticons one of the Decepticons turn into a camera to kind of spy on the Autobots. They think a possible Autobot with humans are attacked the Decepticons. Because I understand that in this section, none of the Decepticons or none of the humans are really involved. I mean, they're sort of kind of there. They're sort of like in the background, but the story doesn't really, it's more of the Decepticons versus the Autobots. And then because the humans end up getting attacked by the Decepticon Panther, and Optimus goes after Decepticons with the Autobots. We meet Spike and his father, who is considered Sam Witwicky in the film, with his father, and his father works on an oil rig. They are ambushed by Decepticons. Megatron, to be for sure. His character is named Spike, as I said. Spike's dad gets attacked by Starscream, and Soundwave needs to turn the engine cubes. The Autobots arrive at the oil rig and they have a fight. Then the Decepticons fly and destroy the oil rig, so Spike and his dad get trapped, and Optimus Prime rescues them. And then part 2 starts. So you can kind of see that it is, as a kind of the first part of a pilot, it is sort of super rushed, because I think, you don't really get that. I guess watching it on streaming or on YouTube, it doesn't really get that sort of super rushed type feeling. And I kind of liked how this episode works. I mean, I think, when Jay and I reviewed a lot of, I think the, and I can kind of tell this with the Spider-Man and with a lot of other, I guess, 30-minute TV shows, that it does feel like the pacing is a lot faster. Like when we watched Power Rangers, it sort of the pacing was a lot. As I said, the pacing is a lot faster. The show sort of goes from where, and I'm wondering if when we this, like the first pilot, I think really, and I think with any pilot, when you watch a show, it has to go exposition, action, action. Here's a plot. And then, of course, it's in the 80s. There's sort of a moral, like, don't drive your boat under power lines and that kind of thing. So anyway, I thought it was a pretty, for a pretty good pilot, I mean, I would have to say, too, that I think that where was I going with this? I think that I think this has a lot. It's got a lot to work with. It was, this was like right before my time. So I mean, I'm kind of, more intrigued by Transformers, not as much as I was with as I was, I grew up mostly on Beast Wars, which was like Transformers Animals, which you'll see in Transformers 6, Rise of the Beast. Transformers 7, Rise of the Beast. But for everything, part 1 is a pretty good episode to kind of start this pilot. I will talk about part 2 later. For everybody here at Movies and TV on the Ball, thank you for listening. And Transformers, robots in disguise. Transformers, more that meets the eye. Thank you for listening. Peace out. Bye.